passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick the passion. Pick passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick apart the passion. Passion. Pick apart the passion. Passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick the passion. Pick passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick apart the passion. 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 Pick apart the passion. Passion. Welcome to Pick Apart the Passion podcast. I'm your host, Tayamu Denku. This is brought to you by Cypher Dem Music, Jab Kai Media. Shouts to my dude Rambunctious, who is the creator of Pick Apart the Passion podcast. And tonight, sitting here with my special guest, Dope Knife. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's it got super cold here in the last few days. So definitely hoodie attire out here. I know you've been out to Wisconsin, so I know that you are familiar. Although anytime I've been down in your area, I am not familiar with this weather up here down there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, no, we don't really get that weather like that down here. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I mean, we had like a little bit of a spell of like some cold weekends, but for us, that's like, oh man, it's 45 outside. We're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we got to close the schools, man. It's 50 today. Like, that's our shit down in Georgia. So but I've been to Wisconsin a bunch of times. Yeah, I love it there, But every time I'm always there, it's usually, I think I was only there for like one winter, and that shit was nuts. It was like negative something, but usually when I'm there, it's the summer, so it's all good.
Well, isn't so now I'm trying to think back. First time I met you was at a show at a place called the Red Dot, and it was in Milwaukee. And when was that show? I feel like that was wintertime.
That was wintertime, and I think that was the winter I'm talking about. I think that was it. No, I feel like there was another time that I was there that was cold as shit. But you know what? That might have been it, because I remember Dana Copperfield and I think it was the King Hell Bastard were doing like a reunion or something, right? Or was it them, or was it some other group that was to that?
So Rusty Peas played the show at Red Dot, but you played a show the night before. It was either the night before or the night after, because you had ran. What happened was
that spot.
That was at was that Cactus? No.
Yeah, Cactus Club.
It was at Cactus.
Yeah, okay. It was at Cactus. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that was the reunion or if that was Rusty Peas too, but I know Rusty Peas was on the show at Red Dot.
And there was another band like the Night Stalkers or Night.
Night.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Now I'm gonna fuck it up. I feel like it's Nightwalkers. No,
Nightwalkers. Right? So, it was something like that. Something with night in it. I remember.
I know them dudes, and now I'm fucking up, and I feel terrible because I know those dudes. Like,
hey, they were really nice guys. So.
Yes. But yeah. So basically, that's where I met you at. I was unaware you were going to be on that show. I knew that you were in town, but I didn't know really who you were at that point. That was my first time hearing you perform. And then when I heard you, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was on some rapper shit. So I was like, man, why they gotta slide him in before me now? Now I gotta go later. I was like, I don't even know who this is. So I was tripping for a second, but then I heard you and I was like, oh, yeah, he's dope. This cat's dope. So I'm not even tripping no more. Like, I was cool with it. The only thing that I was tripping on about that night is that I got moved to the headliner after Rusty Peas, and when Rusty Peas got off stage, their entire fan base left, and I ended up rocking for like 10 people. So
I hate it when that shit happens. I'm trying to even remember how I got added on it, because I'm pretty sure I came there for the Pelican show, or not for the Cactus Club show. And then I think something happened and somehow
you were in town like an extra night or something.
Yeah, I was in town because you know I know Blue Collar and shit. That's my man. So I was gonna spend a couple days with Blue and chill with him and the fam and stuff. And then somehow the owner of Red Dot got wind of something. I don't know whether he was at a show or if he heard about something, but there was something where they were like, hey, we've got this thing going on. Do you want to play it? And I was like, sure. So I went and did it. And it was cool. I love it when the events are like hip hop the fuck out, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's on some hippity hop shit. And then like I remember when you went up and like I'd been hearing people, because after I went on, heads were like being like, oh man, like yo, you should link with Tama, you should link with them. And I didn't know who they were talking about, but then you went up and you started going in. And I remembered it kind of being like one of those MC moments, like the head nod, like the
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like when fucking Highlanders recognize each other or some shit. It's like, yeah, all right.
yeah. But you were definitely dope. I was mad impressed. And then I dug more into your catalog after that, and we've crossed paths multiple times since then. Festivals, 2x2, Overcast, out in Ohio.
I hope we get to do stuff like that again.
Me too, man. I mean, I recently just did a small run. That was my first time out and about, and it made me realize how out of show shape I am.
It's just like any other. It's like being in any other shape, man. If you don't do it for a while, like I mean, imagine, well, not professional athletes and shit, but like imagine cats who, like every weekend we're going to the fucking 24-hour fitness and balling, and then had to just stop cold turkey. Yeah, man, that's just it's hard. You got to work yourself back into shape.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was dying on my last show. I like the drive to it, and like because normally like drives never really trip. Like I never trip on them. Like they're whatever. Like I don't mind driving, going my little distances to different shows and shit like that on tour shit, but like I was exhausted after that, you know what I'm saying? Like I was ready to be done. And then I'm kind of like, man, but this is what I need to get back to, because this is what I was doing before the whole pandemic shit happened.
Yeah. And you were grinding hard too with that shit. Like, how was the road right now? Because I've been doing a bunch of local stuff. Like I've been pretty much performing in Savannah to the point where motherfuckers are gonna start getting tired of me. So, but like, is the road still? Is it cool? Is it?
You know what? It was
like, was the logistics of it easy to make happen?
Yeah. So it wasn't hard to get them, but like I actually booked this faster than I've ever booked any tour in my life. Like because I ended up doing the original reason. So this is what entirely happened. My girl was like, oh, Grimo's having a cypher with Rod Digger. We should go out there. That would be dope. Maybe you can get on it. Actually, no, she didn't even consider that we were going to do it. She showed me the link to it. And I was like, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Where was it at?
It was in Worcester, Mass. Okay. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. And then I'm thinking like, I'm broke as fuck. Why did I say yes to this? although we wanted to do a end of the year vacation thing. She wanted to see Salem. I incorporated some Niagara Falls in there, like just to make the trip cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But then I was like, I need to be able to make some extra money. Maybe I can string together a tour on this. And literally a month before the whole shit went down, I booked 5 shows.
Oh shit.
Like that routed. That worked out. The only one I wasn't able to do because it wasn't as far in advance. I tried to get Buffalo. Shouts to the homie Chucky. That's who was trying to look out for me. But
Chucky.
But usually I book that 2 to 3 months out, so it's easy to get. This time I tried to do it a month out. It didn't work out, but I was able to get, I was able to string.
I mean,
everything
getting
together.
5 shows like that's dope. I mean, that makes me feel encouraged because I was thinking about starting to go back out on the road after New Year's and stuff like that. So it's good that it's like, I was worried that it was going to be like everything dried up and not enough venues out there and stuff like that. But it doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, talking to some people, there's definitely venues that close permanently. There's even venues here that I've booked in the past that are no longer here. Like 3 of them are completely gone.
Same thing here.
And then actually the spot that I played out there is no longer there, right?
Where was it? Jinx? You played at?
Yeah,
right?
Jinx.
Yeah, Jinx is gone. Yeah.
And that was a dope spot.
I had been rapping in Jinx since I was fucking 19, man. I'm definitely not 19 anymore, but it's just like that was like literally like a huge part of my hip hop upbringing and shit was that Jinx club. So yeah, COVID definitely took its pound of flesh, man.
And there was only one spot that I played. Out east they're pretty pretty on point with in and out of places that you go for like with masks on and shit. They're still pretty much heavy on that out there. And there was one spot in Maine. The spot I played in Maine required either a negative test or a vax card to get in.
Okay.
So, and that was the only spot out of those that I witnessed having to do that. Oh, Cactus Club here does that. They require that here. And there's another spot here that I opened the show with Mayday. And they require. So there's places doing that.
Yeah. I recently did a thing. It was like the birthday party for a indie label in town called Gray Face, but they had the same sort of thing where you had to show either the test or the vax thing. And I mean, to my surprise, especially being down south, like the turnout was still really good. So, I was happy to see that. They definitely been tripping about that shit here.
Oh yeah. So let's dive back. Let's dive back because I know you since I've met you. I know things you've done. You're a dope MC. You've done a lot of things, but let's dive all the way back. So I looked back and I saw the first record that you put out was in 2007. Is that right? Technically?
That's the first like solo knife record was 2007. Yeah.
Okay. But then there was also like Dope Sandwich. That's a group.
Yeah, Dope Sandwich Dope Sandwich was like our group. We started out trying to make a record label because it was like we were all college kids in Savannah and everybody was from different places, right? So like you had Blue Collar who's from Milwaukee and shit, and he, over the course of knowing him, like his homie Dana Copperfield came down to visit. So that's how I met Dana, because through Blue Collar. But you had all these different dudes who were in Savannah, and we were all from different parts of the country, and we're in town, and we kind of clicked up, and we were like, yo, we should make, obviously being influenced by the Rhyme Sayers and the Stones Throws and all that shit. We were like, yo, we should crew up and make like our own label. But because it was like a bunch of rappers and like young rappers at that and shit, we didn't really know how to like structure as a label of like, oh, okay, we're going to focus on this person now, and then we're going to focus on this person now. So we would just do shows and just like storm the stage on some Wu-Tang shit. It looked like the fucking backpack Wu-Tang and shit. You know what I mean? It's just like mad heads all on stage. But the thing is, because we all hung out all the time, our synchronicity was like on point. You know what I'm saying? Like any combination of the 7 or 8 dudes that it was could get on stage and like tear it, not just rock it, but like tear it down. Like everybody knew each other's songs, you know what I'm saying? So anyone could hype man for anybody at any given time. And it was dope. So it kind of took on a life of being a rap group, even though we wanted it to be a label. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Do all those people still rhyme or?
I mean, not like quote unquote professionally. Nah, you know what I'm saying? Like Blue Collar still makes beats. And you know, every all the time we're always talking about like, oh guys, we got to get back together and do like a track or something like that. But you know, at this point, the whole reason that it ended was because people started having kids and people started having careers and stuff. And not everybody is in this shit because like they've got like some long grandiose vision of stuff. You know what I mean? Like some cats are doing it because it's like it's what they're into now. You know what I mean? And I can understand that. You know, I had a phase when I was into this sort of thing, and I had a phase when I was in that I used to rock my hair like this. And you know, for some cats, that's what it was. It was like, yo, that period of my life when I was rapping and I was doing local shows around town, or maybe I was getting in the van and going around, you know what I mean? But I was probably like the main one in the crew that whole idea of like, nah, man, I want what, like, rich, poor, underground, mainstream, like I want to go down as like one of those cats where two kids in fucking South Korea are having an argument about who's the best rapper, and one of them's like Kendrick Lamar, and the other was like, "Oh no, you never heard of this guy named Dope Knife? He's fucking way better." You know, I like that's what I'm in it for.
I feel that. I feel that. That's what's up, man. Yeah. So you had,
but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Just to clarify though, like that 2007 album, which was called the 2000 Yard Stare, that was my first solo album. But when I first started rapping, it was in high school, and it was like a rap rock band that I was in. So
okay.
We did an album back in 2001. The name of that band was Some May Not Be. And yeah, so there's that shit somewhere out there. It's terrible. It's somewhere
but it's out there somewhere. It's out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dig that shit up, man. Dig that.
It's heavy Eminem influences. Yeah. Heavy Eminem influences.
01, would you say that's when you started to find a passion for rhyming, or was it even before that?
Yeah, it was like the year leading up to that, you know, because I mean, at this point, people, you know, there's a lot of people. At this point, I got no shame in saying it. Like, Eminem was probably like the rapper that I heard when I was, you know, mid-teens, early teens. That was like, oh, okay, you mean somebody could rap about shit that I might rap about and people might want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? And like, whether, like, regardless of race or whatever, it was just like, oh, okay, this is just not the typical shit. Like the shit that, like, when I found myself listening to hip hop like circa 98, 99, it was like, yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna go do my comic book thing. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. I was like Eminem, which then further like let me just start exploring more stuff and finding, you know, more shit that was out there. But once I started like realizing, oh, like first I was just, that year leading up, I was just getting more interested in, oh man, like these guys are doing really interesting stuff with words and rhymes, and damn, like this shit seems really hard and it's really impressive what they're doing. But I still wasn't like into making music, and I wasn't in it from that perspective. But once like those, I started discovering, you know, cats who were doing that sort of stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't have to pretend to rap about some shit that I'm not, you know what I mean, to do it. Then it seemed like an actual viable thing. And then once I started, you know, I got in the band, we had a few practices, and I think somebody had like one of those like recorder things where you could track out a track and shit like that. So the band, you know, one of our practices, we tracked out some jams, and I took the beats, the CD home, and just wrote to some of the stuff. I was writing to it, but then I had the Blueprint album, Jay-Z's first Blueprint, Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP, and what was the 2000 or 99 Redman album? I think it was the Where Is Reggie Noble Redman album.
Now I'd have to look it up. I don't even remember. It's not. It's not. That's not the. That's not the Doc's the name. That's not.
Doc's. No, I'm Doc's
Is
the
that
name.
the
That's
one?
it. Yeah, Doc's the name. That's what I'm talking about. Doc's the name. Doc's the name. The one right before like Blackout and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Doc's the name. So I had those 3 albums, and it was like I would, you know what I mean? I would listen. Then I would listen to my beat and write a little bit. Then I'd like listen a little bit of Eminem. Then I'd go back and write. I'd listen a little bit of the Blueprint. And I'd go back and write. And I was just doing that. And that night that I first started writing my first rhymes, because I went to high school in Singapore and shit, because my father worked for the State Department. So like I was in Singapore, and that night I started like writing my first raps. That's when the planes hit the tower and shit.
Oh,
so
shit.
Like I was in the bedroom, heard like the whole fam, like, oh shit, making a commotion in the living room, and went out there, and then we just like watched that shit until like 1, 2 in the morning, and watched all that stuff that was going down, and then going back to school and being in this new band that I was in writing raps. It was just, not that my stuff like took off with any sort of like majorly like political stuff, because trust me, I was rapping for like 5-6 years before I ever said anything political in a rap. But it's just the mere fact that like that was the night that I started rapping is when I just started becoming more politically aware about shit and stuff like that, and situationally aware and shit. Yeah, it's stuck with me to this day, as people could probably hear if they listen to my
shit. That's crazy, man. How would you describe the Savannah scene back then, hip hop scene? Then how about then compared to now?
Shit. Well, I mean, then, man, it was like, I mean, I'm not gonna. It's obviously I have to give you a grain of salt because it's all like nostalgia goggles and shit. You know what I mean? Like at this point, 2006, 5, 7, 8, 9, all that shit's nostalgia at this point. But I mean, it was dope, man. It was like a little oasis in the South. I again, this is not speaking on anybody else's scene because I don't know, but like our shit, it was like obviously, Savannah being a southern town, you've got the trap scene, or at that point in time we used to call it the crunk. You know what I'm saying? You had that whole scene of what was going on, like the that stuff, and that has its following that's big. You know what I mean? Just like it is in every other city and town. But then you just had this weird like pocket that was going on where it was like a bunch of different rappers from different towns or different cities and different states and stuff like that have different styles, but they're either here in Savannah for 4 years because they got to go to college, or like they're like me and they went to college for a year and just dropped out and just live here. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like a local cat. But you just had this like scene of dudes who were just dope, like dope in a way that we would think is dope. And some of us were crewed up and we were Dope Sandwich. And then there was like another trio of guys and they were called Soul Essential. And then there was another like quartet and they were called Soul Cypher or Cypher Bound. And then there's you know what I mean? So you just had like all these different cliques. It's like, oh man, those guys are made up of 2 guys from Indiana and a guy from Seattle. And that group is like a nigga from Jersey and 2 dudes from DC. It's just like different groups like that. And like we were all here and we all kind of congregated around that Jinx hip hop night. It was like it was every Tuesday night we'd go in there. It was like crew warfare when they would do battle night. You know what I'm saying? There was like a huge b-boy scene. There was like at least like 3 or 4 b-boy cliques with b-boys and b-girls and shit like that. There were at least like 4 graffiti artists that I know because they would admit that they were doing it. You know what I'm saying? But like we had it, again, it was just this weird scene that we were all like really cognizant of like, yo, man, it's like 2006 and like all the shit that we're like coming up in is 1000% not what's in style. Like this is nuts. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is really ill. That this is gonna sound like real superficial, but like we were like, yo, do you see like this crazy groupie shit that's going on when all we're doing is like bars? You know what I mean? Like everybody's broke as fuck. Like all we're doing, like we're getting like all this like shine in whatever like local popularity just off the fact of like, yo, you guys need to go to hip hop night and see these guys rap because there's a lot of talented MCs there. And then once I started doing I had these mixtapes that I used to do called the Pillage Mixtapes because everybody was like real fucking skittish about recording back then. Like motherfuckers was like, nah, man, we can't do it unless we got to save up for studio time. You know what I mean? It was before it was really like acceptable to just go ahead and do your home studio thing, or even just it was before people didn't really just give a fuck and just put shit out. You know what I'm saying? So like I was one of the first ones who was like, hey man, I'm just gonna record on my computer mic, you know what I mean, and burn a CD of it. And if cats want to come over the crib and rap over beats, you can do it, but I'm just gonna do it. So I would be putting out these mixtapes. They were called the Pillage Mixtapes, you know, volume 1, volume 2, and it would just be like 15 tracks of me and then like 2 other you know what I mean, like 2 other rappers appearing on it, because I was just doing it. It was like, yo, whoever's jumping on, you're jumping on, or I'm just doing it. And then like over time I could take less of a role and started having other rappers in town come to me and be like, hey man, can I get on the Pillage Mixtape? Hey, can I get a track? Or I got a homie who raps, you know, you should put him on the Pillage Mixtape. That sort of thing started happening. And yeah, you know, like went with it from that. But that was our scene, man. Everybody was freestyling, you know, like cats was like doing albums and really like cats were using the albums as like our true like way of like being like, yo, this is like my calling card as like an artist. And then we would use the mixtape in the hip hop night as like the outlet to just bar out and do whatever, you know what I mean? So I got like a collection of like CDs from people who like motherfuckers will never hear about, but it's like, yo, this album is legit like dope, you know what I'm saying? Like as dope as anything that you have heard of, because like cats were putting that sort of work into. We really looked at that hip hop night thing as like a practice ground. And it's like I wish every town that had even a little bit of a pocket of a hip hop scene has you know a hip hop night like that that's going on, because that shit's important, man. Comparing it to now, it's the same shit, you know, like what do you want to hear, man? You know what I'm saying? It's like the kids that they don't understand the concept of like not rapping over vocals.
I know how
like,
it is.
You know, and again, it's like I'm probably gonna take a different approach to it than you, because don't get me wrong, I can definitely put on like my curmudgeon pants and like just like hate on this shit and tear it to shreds. I'm just gonna be diplomatic and say that it is just a completely different thing that they're into right now, which is cool. Just let's acknowledge that it's not the shit that I'm doing or that I'm into. You know what I'm saying? But it's like there's no like universe where I'm down to watch a dude on stage with like 35 people behind him, like saying every other word on a recorded track. That's just not fun to me. There's people who like will look you dead in the eye and it's like, nah, man, you don't get it. This is hot. All right, man. To each his own. It's just whack to me.
It's whack to me too. I don't really fuck with those type of shows. You know, I was I'm not even hating on it because I got you know, I got put on a show kind of like that on my way home on this last little run I did to basically fill my schedule out. And it was like that. And I actually got super hated on by pretty much everyone there because I was the only one not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else, it was the weirdest show I ever played in my life, man. I'm not even gonna lie. It was one of the weirdest because everybody did that. And there was random strippers at the show. Like, it was the weirdest show. I'm not even gonna lie. It was the weirdest hip hop show I've ever played in my life. And then I talked to the dude after, and he's like, next time you come through, we'll have to make sure we get you at a different spot or something, because this doesn't let your skills shine through. Nobody, you know, you're very dope, but this didn't allow anybody to care about what you were doing.
You
Yeah.
what you just that story brings up like a point that I've been thinking about for like a while now. So you ever notice how like motherfuckers who are into whack shit, and again, it's all subjective, but like you know what I'm saying, like the shit that we think is whack. Like you ever notice how motherfuckers who are into that are quick to label people from our vein of the spectrum as being like closed-minded, or you know what I mean, or purists, or like not open to like new things and new sounds and new experiences and shit.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yet they're usually like unabashedly, unashamed, no hesitation to shit on anything that isn't mainstream.
Yeah.
But yet,
Yep.
like mainstream cats, maybe not you or me, but people in our genre like are a lot more open to that sort of thing. Like, for example, right? Let's say that there was let's say there was like an Aesop Rock show, right? And let's say that unknown Migos, like unknown, like no one has ever heard of the Migos before. They're just local openers, and for whatever reason, Aesop Rock is like, yeah, man, you guys can open for me at my show. So the unknown Migos open up for at an Aesop Rock show. I am willing to bet money that they are welcomed like with open arms. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you guys did your thing. Oh yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? But let a unknown Aesop Rock open for the Migos now at one of their shows.
Oh yeah.
Is that crowd gonna fuck with that? Hell
Hell
no.
no.
Like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's exceptions and shit like that, but it's just like a completely different. This is a completely different brainwave and a vibe. Like, it's literal. Like the shit that they think is cool is like the polar opposite to like a cat like me, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could listen to like a Black Thought freestyle for 10 minutes and be like, oh man, this shit is hot, and like play it for like a 15-year-old. It's like, man, this shit's whack. That was trash. No, I don't know. Like, what was that? That was trash. It's garbage. And then they could play for me the shit that they think is hot, and I'm looking at them like, yo, what the fuck? This is a generational divide. This is how it is. But I just feel like the gap is like a little bit too close. You know what I'm saying? Like, I in my mid-30s shouldn't be listening to what a 25-year-old is listening to and feeling like I'm 75 years old. Like that shit. That's not how that ever was. I don't know why people pretend that that's like the thing. That's not how that was supposed to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
Like when 16-year-olds were listening to the Beatles, there was plenty of like 35-year-olds who were like, hey, this is dope. I like this. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, this is little kids' music. Turn it off. No, that was like 50 and 60-year-olds that were saying that shit,
Yeah, man. Um yeah. Very, very good outlook on that entire thing right there. Yeah, and shouts to the Jinx. It was dope for me to be able to come out there, even though it was later on, able to come out there and play that rap night before that spot shut down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was dope. Actually, when we were out there, I'm not even gonna lie. I know you live there, and I know you've been there for a long time. But after visiting Savannah, me and Amy were like, "There's where I want to retire at because because it's dope out here. Like walking the squares, going to the Tybee Island Beach.
Yeah.
I mean all that shit around there. Like I said, we haven't lived there, and that's how it is for people. If they live there forever, they're kind of like, yeah, it's all right, whatever. But you know, visiting there that time and seeing that was one of my favorite spots to actually explore and go around. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you said retire and shit.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I honestly can like tell you that 65% of my social circle and friend base is motherfuckers who had that story that you just told and ended
Hey.
up moving here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally like we it's kind of nicknamed locally the vortex. You know what I'm saying? Because like motherfuckers come and they just like don't leave. It's like you don't even notice it. You know what I mean? You're just like living life. And then the next thing you know, you're like, damn, yo, I've been in Savannah for 10 years. Like shit. You know?
I mean, it's I thought it was dope when I was out there, man.
I love it, man. I mean,
I had a super dope seafood boil. I mean, man, it was just like the whole time out there was super dope. And then the show was cool, the spot was cool. Yeah, it was a dope time.
it's a perfect home base for me, man. I over the years I've definitely had um the temptation to move into a bigger city, and maybe that might still happen. I mean, like for me, I'm not above doing whatever I think is necessary, to get to whatever level I'm trying to get to. But it hasn't seemed like living here has hampered me back. I mean, it would be one thing if I didn't have the ability to travel whenever I want to and to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
what I
yeah,
need to
yeah.
do. But getting in tune with the local touring, indie touring circuit and shit like that, I really don't mind Savannah as like a home base. I mean, and I hope I moved to Athens during 2020 because of the iHeartRadio gig. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I
yep.
wanted to be closer to Atlanta. My co-host lived in Athens, so I wanted to be closer to her and stuff like that. But once that whole thing, and we didn't have to be in close proximity to do the show. Once that became established, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to Savannah and give it at least another year. You know what I'm saying? Like of being here and shit like that, and seeing how it's going. But yeah, it hasn't. I love it, man. I'd recommend everybody come visit Savannah. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. Since you brought it up real quick, speak on that. The iHeartRadio podcast
Oh yeah,
that you
man.
do.
The show's called Waiting on Reparations on iHeartRadio every Thursday, but really it's wherever you get your podcasts and shit. So Spotify, Apple Music podcasts, whatever. Yeah, man, it's like a hip hop and politics show. So um we we've got like a really good blurb written for it that describes it. But I guess like if I were to break it down to y'all in my like stoner way, I would say that like we talk about current political issues, how it affects like public policy and shit, and then we tie it in to how hip hop has dealt with that particular issue
Mm.
through whether it be currently or whether it be in the past. And then that sometimes can like be vice versa. If something happens in hip hop, then we talk about that and then relate to how politics has like related to that issue. So just
Yeah.
for example, let's say that like we're going to be talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, the kid in
Hmm.
Kenosha, your neck of the woods and shit like that.
With
So
the
that's
with the weird cry.
yeah, exactly. With the tearless cry. But yeah, as soon as I'm done with this, we're gonna start recording that. So it's like we've got all of our research about that case written down. We're gonna go over that with the audience and shit. Then we'll, just talk about our thoughts on the situation. Then afterwards, I think the angle that we're doing with this is self-defense and stuff like that. So now we have like a crop of like self-defense references in rap music or
Mm.
like songs that are about self-defense, and then also like news stories about rappers that are related to self-defense. So it's like talking about the Rittenhouse case, and then all right, this is like how like hip-hop has kind of dealt with the same sort of subject matter. And oh, in 1991 KRS-One said this about you know that sort of thing. But it's
That
cool,
sounds
man. We
Yeah, it sounds
freestyle
dope.
or we rap every episode, you know what I mean? So
Oh,
people
word.
who
That's
people
what's
who
up.
like my rhymes and shit like that, there has been a new dope knife verse every week for the last year and a half. That
Freestyled or written.
sometimes it switches off. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I might pull out like a verse from the data bank. Sometimes I'll write a verse specifically for it. For more topical stuff, I'll write a verse for it, especially if it's something that's like funny. Because I don't like
Yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah.
the educational topical raps. Like, I don't like yes, and Congress has to go to the Senate. I don't like doing that sort of shit. But if it's something funny, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like make fun of like some celebrity who does something stupid. Then I like actually sitting down with the pen and like writing a verse specifically for that episode. But mainly I do like the Jay-Z shit for them, where it's like I just get the mic, like record like 4 bars, and it's like, all right, let me think about it. All right, record 4 more bars. All right, let me think about it. I'll do that sort of shit.
That's what's up.
That's the fastest method to do it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, so the main reason we got together tonight was you're dropping this new single.
Ah, yes.
Um, there's before we get directly into that, I want to talk a little more music, just a little bit to go back because these two things, to me were super dope. You had a record come out on Fake Four, and then right after, you had a record come out on Strange Famous,
Mhm.
and then after that, I feel like you put out the record from 2019. You put that out independently.
No, that was
Is that
with Brick.
with Brick Records? So
Yeah, that
you
was a Brick
so you
record.
had all these labels pick up dope albums of yours and put them out. So how does that networking come into play for people that don't know? Um, because I mean, record labels nowadays, I mean, are they really, is it something
Yeah,
that
right.
someone really needs to be a part of? How does something like that happen if somebody wants to reach out or try to get on a label to put out something? How would something like that even happen?
I mean, in my case, it was a matter of networking, but it's a matter of like identifying what your avenue of networking is. You know what I'm saying? Like some people are really like social, and some people can go out and schmooze and talk, talk their way into stuff, or be able to convince people and stuff like that. My avenue was that whenever I rap and people see me rap, they fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I wish that I had discovered the opportunity for me to tour as a indie hip hop artist like back in 2009. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
2013 and 2014. Because I would have had like a head start, and I definitely think I would be further along than I am now. But again, once I discovered that avenue, and that was through Chesky. Chesky, who heads Fake Four. He did a show in Savannah. I opened the venue asked me to open up for him because I was doing my grind around town, and I opened up for him, and he like pulled me aside and he was like, "Yeah, all right, it's like there's cats that do it, and then there's cats that do it. It's like you're definitely doing it at a level that's like you should definitely consider getting out there. And maybe originally he was like, maybe if like you're not getting the traction that you need, maybe that isn't the city that you need to be in, or this isn't the city for you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would just peep his moves and peep what he was doing. And I saw how he was killing. I saw him before he had got locked up. I saw how he was, like touring heavy. So I was like, man, I could do that, even if my shit isn't as like soulful and poetic and stuff like that. I still think there's like there's like an avenue to do it.
Oh
So I
yeah.
just did my due diligence of reaching out to different artists at different, in different cities, in different towns. Like that was my avenue. It was like, hey, you guys have checked out your stuff. Do you guys have any shows coming up that I could play? Because I could book like a showcase thing at Hip Hop Night for you guys to play. And I would do that grind, and I would set up little tours, and just like little weekend warrior sort of things through that. So just through doing shows, it's like you meet fans, you meet people who are in crowds who do
Mm-hmm.
different tasks, people who know this person, who knows this person, who knows that person, promoters that start fucking with you. It's like, oh, I'm going to start bringing you down to Atlanta all the time. You know what I mean? And then one of those times that I got brought down to Atlanta was to open up for Sage Francis. You know what I'm saying? And then the same thing that Chesky saw, Sage Francis saw, but Sage was in more of a position to like reach out to me than Chesky was. So it was like, hey, I've got I think it was like maybe like 4 or 5 months after I opened up for Sage Francis, he like hit me up in the middle of the night. It was like, yo, you want to do something? It's like, word, okay, I'm down. And then maybe like a week or two after that, Chesky was like, hey, do you want to do the Free Sember Fake Four release? Do you want to do one of those? And it was like, so those things again, it's like none of it happened immediately. And I tell me and Sage used to joke about it that my album Iconoclast, I sent that shit out like with an email and like just we're talking weeks and weeks of like preparation and logistics and technical shit to
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
send that album out to like every and any indie label. And the only label that bothered to hit me, or the only two labels that bothered to hit me back, this is like 2013. The only two labels that bothered to hit me back to say no was Strange Famous and Brick. they're like Strange Famous was like, nah.
crazy ironic that you put out records on both of them.
Exactly. So, but I mean, again, so if I had just been discouraged, by like, oh man, I sent out fucking 400 or 200 things or however many it was, and like, somebody from Strange Famous, I think Storm from Strange Famous, hit me back to be like, oh man, this is not the time. And Brick was like, Brick was the same sort of thing. It was like, oh man, you're dope, but it's just like we don't have it slated in the cards. So 4 or 5 years later, ended up putting out something with both of them. So
yeah.
It's just a matter of grinding and identifying what your avenue is to get what you want. That's what I would say, because a lot of people, I don't even want to say new artists, I would just say people, like artists in general, like a lot of cats spread themselves thin, not really knowing what their shit is, you know what I mean? Like what their thing is. Like I watch pro wrestling and shit, what their gimmick is. A lot of people don't understand like the importance of having like a thing so that you know where to focus your efforts and your energy into and stuff like that. Like once I knew that that people like watching me rap more than any other aspect of what I do. Like I'm working on getting people to really, really like listening to my recorded raps. You know what I mean? But right now it's like my bread is buttered that if you come to a Dope Knife show, probably gonna have a good time. It's probably gonna be fun. Probably gonna hear some shit that's gonna make you go, You know what I'm saying? And you'll hear some shit that's gonna make you laugh. That's what I have to offer. So once I like realized that and really started focusing on that, that's when all the little pieces started moving together. You know what I'm saying? So whatever labels I've linked up with to put stuff out, I credit that all towards my touring grind, because that's how I got to know the people who knew the people who made that sort of stuff happen.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So anybody out there listening to that, there it is, right there. If you have something, and you have something, make sure you that's the avenue that you channel most towards. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, the thing is like, just don't put all your chips in the bag of a label, because you don't. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's just helping. If that. I'm lucky that I've messed with labels that have like helped me out and shit. You know what I mean? Like Fake 4 helped me out. Strange Famous definitely helped me out. Brick Records helped me out. Like that, all that shit helped me advance. But there's a lot of labels out there that are essentially just gonna do what you could do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And maybe that might be useful, because maybe you genuinely might not have time to like. I know homies that, like if they had somebody who could do a lot of the stuff that they can't because they have kids, or maybe a job that they gotta, like go to and work crazy hours and shit like that, they might still be making music and stuff like that. So if a label can help you,
I have all those things, and I still try to make the music work. You know what I'm saying?
You do more than try though, man. Like, like you're like a lot of motherfuckers use the word prolific, but like you're literally prolific with the shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Much love, man. So let's get into this single. So, you hit me. You wanted to talk about this new single that you're dropping this Friday. Is that?
It's coming out Friday. It's gonna be dropping Friday on all the streaming stuff, but I attached 2 B-sides with it, so that's gonna be available only on Bandcamp. Just like a little 3-song EP, but really it's the single. But it's called So 912. I did the beat. I got my homegirl. Do you know LC from Linguistic Civilians?
No, not familiar.
They're from Vermont. But yeah, no,
which I was just out there. I love Vermont, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure when the last time that they did a Linguistic Civilians show. They might have been inactive for a couple of years, but it was like a quartet. Three dudes and a girl. Everybody's, obviously everybody's nice, but she can also sing and rap and shit like that. But I got her to do a little half of the hook on the shit.
Oh,
And
so that's who's on there.
yeah,
Okay.
that's her on the hook. Yeah, man, it's just a new jam. I'm kind of transitioning in like my release habits. So this is kind of kicking it off where I'm working on my next album, and I don't really want to rush it because there's just a lot of stuff that I'm trying to do with it that's a bit more ambitious, but also like recognizing that the music game is different and you can't really just like disappear for 3 years to work on your masterpiece and shit like that. You know what I
Nah,
mean?
people forget then. That's
Exactly.
that attention span of nowadays is crazy.
But now that I'm situationed with the podcast, COVID is what it is right now. It's not what it was in 2020. So it's like now I'm just in a I've opened up a new studio, like out of home, like an actual studio that I gotta like wake up in the morning and like, drive to and
Oh
open up.
yeah, yeah.
That whole thing's going on. So like I'm just in a really good creative space right now. And I
That's
have
dope.
been like working a lot. Like a lot. You know what I'm saying? I've been making a lot of music. So I have like mad songs. I've got mad beats from different producers and just stuff that I've done. That it's like, the past year has kind of made me feel like, man, a deadly disease just shut down the whole world for a year. That was like, it's like killing mainly black people, black and Latino people. It's like anything could fucking happen. I don't want to fucking check out with all this shit on a laptop somewhere and a hard drive. So I want to, you know what I mean? I want people to hear the shit. So I'm just gonna start putting out songs while I'm working on my album. I have enough to make it last, and I have enough stuff that's in the works to make it last that I'm just pretty much starting Friday. I'm gonna just be putting out at least a new thing every month until I start telling people to look out for my album. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to kick it off with a bang and make as much noise about it as I could with this So 912 track. You know what I mean? Just because it's like definitely as far as stuff that I put out as like a single, it's definitely like it's kind of lighthearted. Just in
Yeah,
the in
yeah,
the
no, yeah,
even
no.
in the sound,
It's
you know what I mean? It's definitely not like a dark, like it doesn't have that like badass, you quote unquote badass quality that like Dynasty or some
yeah.
of my other singles have, where it like sounds like fight shit, literally.
I mean,
It's
there's definitely still dope lyrics on it, but it's definitely yeah, it's
yeah, I
not
just
as
yeah, I just mean
it's not as
tone.
rugged raw.
Exactly.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
It's I was definitely going more for the like I imagine someone listening to it with a smile on their face. You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Whereas like with some other shit, it's like I imagine somebody listening to it with that stink face, like, mm, mm, you know. Um, yeah, no, man. So I'm doing a little release party for it in Savannah. Been doing a lot of promotion for it, talking on some other podcasts and stuff about it, just to get everything started off right, and mainly, to just get that point across that I am like a music factory at this point. I'm about to start doing a poor man's impersonation of you. And like, you know what I mean? Like every time I look up, it's like, damn, yo, I need to step my shit up. I'm not like like I'm not for it is the thing is I think I love about your shit too is it doesn't like you don't put out shit like it's content. You know what I mean? Like you put out shit like it's work. Like like it's just I respect that a lot. Like
Word up, man. Well, I mean, if you ever need a verse, you ever want to do something
oh,
else,
of
I mean,
course, man. I mean, we got a joint, right?
we do have that, and I still haven't shot my part for it. But the thing is that's gonna be on a record
Oh, okay, okay,
that's coming out next year at some point in time. So I'm gonna have the video done for that
okay.
to release that. But I'm saying
Why don't I need to get
I,
you on one of these singles then? Like,
yeah, man. I mean, I got a home studio spot. It ain't no thing. You know what I'm saying? So
okay, bet. Yeah, no, all right then. That's not even a thing. That's gonna happen, right? Because we've been sitting on that one that we've doing the video for like since 2019.
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's been
if that needs to be something that it needs to be, then we, I'm kind of going through the same thing with Jarv. Jarv, MC,
yep.
MC from Vermont, Jarv, dope dude. We're going through the same exact thing. We went on tour before COVID, and like we wrote a couple songs and we recorded like a beastin' ass song, and we're like, yo, we should just do an EP. Fuck yeah, let's do it. And we were like all in. Life takes its course, you know what I mean? And we're still talking about getting back to it. But in the meantime, we've been sitting on this like banger for 3 years. And I was just like, dude, man, I know we want to do a video. I know it would be iller if we were both in the same place at the same time and we could just do the video. But man, I gotta put this fucking song out. I'm sorry.
I feel you.
You know what I mean? Like, you're a bigger artist than me. That's gonna help me out. I'm sorry, B.
Yeah, man. But yeah, for real. Let me know, man. I'm always down to work, man. You're dope. Make something happen. But yeah, let's run this So 912 joint. On Pick Apart the Passion podcast. This is Dope Knife. This is a single he's dropping on Friday. So yeah, let's play that. We'll come back. And then I want to, before we get up out of here, I want to talk to you about how your technique of writing songs. So we'll come back. We'll talk about that. But here's So 912. Let's get into it.
Have you ever danced the devil on the pale moonlight? Camouflage, rest in peace. Something I like to say to all my prey. Dope sandwich. Yo, I never started rapping to be the dopest up on Congress Street. But up on Congress Street, nobody topping how I squash a beat. I'm the prophecy, yeah, I'm shit, call me colostomy. Stay up off my name, hanging on it like apostrophes. I don't want your beef, I got Nazis who be doxing me. I'm in the studio just using logic like I'm Socrates. It's the only way that my pockets feed, and I got to eat, talking shit like it's my city. I can see y'all motherfuckers knowing what time it is. Guys will bitch, how is he broke but still be signing tits? My defense, I'm fucking dope, that's what my problem is. Now I can't shut up enough, but was a silent kid. I keep it sharp, try spitting with the razor. Always play a part, skip picture to the major. Stepping in my way and I will just disengage ya while I'm getting praise from an illustration major. Whack ass rappers couldn't tie my shoe. I don't even wanna hear all the rah-rah too. I don't mind nobody biz, homie, I'm not you. I'm dope, I'm fly, so 912, ooh.
I'm so 912. I stick my tongue at you like nah nah boo. These whack ass rappers couldn't tie my shoe. I'm dope, I'm fly, so 912. Ooh.
Tell me I'm a king, baby, nibble on my earlobe. Give a brother service, now pour it in my beer hole. All I do is rap, bake, fuck, I'm a weirdo. Stay away from rats, fake funk, I ain't near those. Everything they doing, I'll be doing the opposite. Squatting shit all over anybody who flopping lips. I'm convinced none of these rappers ain't even on the fence. 5%, motherfucker, that ain't even a proper tip. Walking high through a gentrified part of town. Pants falling down, they make Karen call her hounds. All around, lost and found, illest in the town. Found a quarter pound on the ground, watch me burn it down. So people being bitter, but they sweeter than antifreeze. Dying lift the spirits, my lyrics written by manatees. I'm a bust forever from now until the planet freeze. Got a flow for every grain you see on a sandy beach. Whack ass rappers couldn't tie my shoe. I don't even wanna hear all the rah-rah too. I don't mind nobody biz, homie, I'm not you. I'm dope, I'm fly, so 912, ooh.
I'm so 912. I stick my tongue at you like nah nah boo. These whack ass rappers couldn't tie my shoe. I'm dope, I'm fly, so 912. Ooh.
Premiere.
That's fire. That's
premiere.
fire right there. Fire.
Thank you.
Who did the scratches on that?
I was just about to say I forgot to shout him out. That was DJ Mo Nichols.
Oh, I know Mo Nichols.
Yeah. Mo Nichols, he's who's he most associated with? I guess Chesky, right? Yeah, like Mo Nichols is always DJing for Chesky and Fake Four Cats, but dope ass DJ from Connecticut. It's not our first collaboration either. Like my last 2 albums, Mo Nichols was scratching on both of those. So
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I've actually known, because I used to be on a label in Staten Island called Uncommon Records.
Ah, yeah.
And Mo Nichols used to always DJ the yearly Yule Prague events. I was out at a bunch of those, and that's where I initially met him. But yeah, I was actually on Uncommon Records for a number of years.
Word, I remember I tried pitching to Uncommon Records too, but I ended up meeting NASA like at South by Southwest and stuff like that, and he had me on his podcast once, and he's been a supporter, so I like him. He's a cool guy. Yeah,
man. So when you write, because I you know, you got a lot of dope bars, a lot of shocking bars, and then a lot of punchline bars. So it's kind of, similar to the type of shit I do, kind of. Mm-hmm. Except I don't really do any political shit.
Yeah.
Really. But and you're also a freestyle head. So how do you go about when you write your songs? What's your technique like behind it? Like do you start with a hook? Do you start with the verses to know your direction? I mean, how do you go about it?
I mainly write songs like in the order of how shit happens in the song, in the order of how I hear it. So I really mean that, like, to the point where it's like I'm planning out like the ad libs at the beginning, you know what I'm saying, before I'm in the booth, like all that stuff's like planned out. But I like to write the first verse because, like, usually the first line of a song is like the first, like line of the first verse is usually the hardest thing for me to write personally. So I usually like to write the first verse and then lead it into the hook. So I'll write the hook after the, just like I said, just how you hear it in the song. So it's like the hook usually comes after I write the first verse. And usually it's my intention behind writing the hook is to be a summary of whatever the tone of the song is, not necessarily like the content or the theme, because like when you're like I kind of I don't know what to describe our style as, but it's like that sort of like battle-y type of style, you know what I'm saying? Like we rap about skills on the mic the way that like a gangster rapper raps about guns. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? Or like the way that like a fucking glam rapper is rapping about his chain. You know what I mean? Like that's our content is like, yo, I'm nice on the mic. I'll do this. I eat MCs like this. I crush it. You know what I mean? Like that's our like vein. So once you're in that already, I feel like you don't necessarily have to like be too focused on like the themes of songs and you know what I'm saying? Like I'm less concerned about explaining to somebody, oh, this song is about X, because usually it's not. You know what I mean? We're just rhyming, and that's what you're there for. So doing the hook second is a good way for me to kind of like have it to kind of know where the whole song, what the whole tone of the song is gonna be. You know what I mean? And then that way it makes the second verse easier to write because it's like I'm coming into it right out of the hook. And like for me, I've been I wasn't always fast at writing, but now I'm really fast. But it's like just simply of once I like know what the purpose, I guess, of the verses, you know what I'm saying? It's very easy for me to just run with it. You know what I mean? And as far as like the punchlines and jokes and stuff, really I just gotta think about like 2 of them or 3 of them like in advance, and then everything kind of just comes from that. You know what I mean? So like, for example, that So 912 song, the whole entire like basis for like the shit was 912 and Nana Boo. in the hook. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like how the shit like started. It was like, okay, 912 Nanabu, like, okay, that's gonna hit. And then like thinking about like other stuff, it's like, oh man, fucking I don't want your beef. I got Nazis who be doxing me. Like, okay, yeah, all right, that's a good one. I'm in the studio using logic like I'm Socrates. You know what I mean? And then like having like those three things just to play with is literally like everything just gets built up about that and just like stringing it all together along.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's for something like So 912 that is like, you know, like I could have been in the studio with like 12 motherfuckers, everybody smoking weed and being loud. And, you know what I mean? I could have written 912 like barely paying attention. For shit where you're trying to be a bit more deeper and stuff like that, it's probably not good to approach it that way. I mean, I'm not telling nobody
no, I feel
how to approach their music or whatever like that, but I don't know. I don't like to do stuff like that from any sort of a superficial place. And I like to make sure, I like to make sure that whenever I'm rapping, I'm at like a default comfort level. You know what I mean? And that can't happen unless I'm rapping about what I want to rap about. And most of the times, especially with having a fucking heavy politics podcast, that some of the episodes can run be like an hour and a half long where I'm like talking about all of the political stuff that I'm interested in. My default rap mode is, yo, suck my dick, I'm the illest MC in the world. You know what I mean? Like that's so yeah. it's like I don't like feeling a need to quell that. You know what I'm saying? And I felt that like in the past I used to quell it when I was a younger MC because it was like, man, girls aren't trying to hear this shit and I'm trying to get laid. You know what I'm saying? So that used to be like a self-conscious thing about like doing it. And then when I started fucking with like the fake fours and the strange famouses and stuff like that, I was self-conscious about it because it was like, man, like these motherfuckers is trying to hear like some deep emotional, serious like shit of substance. And I'm fucking sitting here telling fucking dick and fart jokes. So it was good because those like 3 or 4 years was definitely like some songwriter regiment shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm like sitting down with the pad and the pen, and it's like, yo, I'm about to have fucking hoity-toity white boys who listen to Sage Francis since they were 13, like listening to my shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't get me wrong, I stand on the merits of my own stuff, but it's like I've got tons of mixtapes of me punchlining the fuck out that now I want to like prove that it's, or at least prove to myself that it's like, oh no, I can make a song with like 13 songs that are about tangible ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doing that for like 3 albums as an exercise is like, oh man, now I'm in a state where it's like my next shit that y'all motherfuckers hear is like gonna be over, because it's like now I feel like my songwriting chops are up to snuff, that it's like, you know, I'm writing just as quote unquote significant stuff as anybody who motherfuckers want to put out. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm making salient points and I'm making the observations that serious artists and songwriters are supposed to make and all that stuff. And then yeah, man, like I'm nice, yeah. So it's like as when it comes to that shit, it's like I'm not, I'm not just getting out rapped by everybody left and right. You know what I mean? So just like having both of those elements of my game as strong at a place that I think I would want it to be. And now I've been experimenting with more lo-fi beats, so now I'm starting to get more comfortable doing like just completely abstract sort of shit. You know what I mean? I like it. I dig it. I wish that I had started doing stuff like this sooner and getting out of that comfort box, or getting out of that like comfort box, sooner. But yeah, better late than never, man. I feel like I'm a better rapper now than I've ever been. And I did not feel that way like 3 years ago. I just didn't. You know what I mean? Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was like, oh man, I'm nice right now. Like 1984, when the 1984 album came out, and I was like, I got exposed to like a bunch of new fans with the Strange Famous shit. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm nice now, but Y'all motherfuckers didn't hear those Pillage Mixtapes back in the day. You know what I mean? Like y'all didn't hear me when I used to rap like fast. You know, like when I was like, and I was doing all that shit. I felt like I was a better rapper then. But like, obviously 3 years removed from that. Now looking back at it, it's like, no, man, I'm more technically proficient.
Yeah.
But now it's like I don't feel any sort of like my shit is for angsty teenagers. You know what I mean? It's like I feel it's like I'm making grown man rap while at the same time being a fucking idiot on the microphone. it's a cool place to be, but I'm happy being here, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, this has been dope, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, y'all, people tuning in, y'all just heard the So 912 debut. The single drops Friday on
November 19th
on all digital streaming. On all digital streaming, it drops Friday, and then there's also going to be a version available on Bandcamp, right? With
with 2 extra songs.
And yeah, there it is right there. So people that want to get in touch with you, what are you most active on? What would you say that you're on the most, for people that want to keep up to date with your music, with how to contact you if they're looking to work with you at some point in time, or what's the best?
Instagram, Instagram is probably the easiest way to keep up with me as far as like knowing what's coming, what I'm doing, what I'm up to. I actually recently got started a TikTok account, and I'm gonna start being really active on that. But as far as that goes, I'm not doing any funny dances or any shit like that. All I'm doing on TikTok is rapping. You know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of dope producers on there. There are a bunch of dope sounds on there. I have verses for days. So I'm kind of just, if you just like hearing me rap, then I would say you will always be able to hear raps on the TikTok page. So the Instagram page is dope_knife on Instagram. Then on Twitter, I'm at dope knife. On TikTok, I'm knife is dope.
Okay.
Right. So if you want to see like behind the scenes stuff of me making beats, you know what I mean, or me doing like exclusive verses, or like even just going through my old notebooks from when I was like 18 and just spitting, you know what I mean, like spitting shit like that. You can find all that shit on TikTok. Every Thursday, Waiting on Reparations on iHeart Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. And but Instagram is pretty much, if you want to like talk to me, hit me up on Instagram in a DM. I'm not big enough that I won't see the shit, so hit me up.
Yeah, there it is right there. This has been great, man. I enjoyed this a lot. I mean, we know each other. We could probably end up talking for like 2 more hours, but we're not going to do all that. I know you got things you got to do. So this has been Pick Apart the Passion podcast. I'm your host, Tayamu Denku, is brought to you by Cypher Den Music, Jab Kai Media. Shouts to my dude, Rambunctious, the creator of Pick Apart the Passion podcast, where it's best to pick apart yourself to get to your passion. And like Ram's father said, we'll leave you with this. He quoted and said, "Is it better to be right or kind?" And we'll leave you with that. Dope Knife, it's been dope having you on the show. Shouts to Dope Knife for being on here, being a special guest. And till next time, hit me with a track, man. I got you.
I got you.
All right, man.